All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're diving deep into one of the biggest economic stories happening right now, India's massive plan to supercharge its Make in India initiative and become a true high-tech manufacturing powerhouse.
And look, this isn't just some nice-sounding goal. This quote from Niti Aayog, the Indian government's top policy think tank, really nails why this is so important. They're saying this isn't optional anymore. It's the absolute foundation for the country's future. And honestly, the stakes could not be higher. Okay, so why all the urgency? Well, to really get it, we first have to talk about India's high-tech gap. Let's see how India currently measures up on the world stage. Wow, okay, this slide, it says it all, right? This shows you how much of a country's stock market value comes from AI and new age tech. The US is at a staggering 40%, China's at 15%, and India, all the way down at just 2%. That's not a gap, that's a chasm. It tells you that so far, India's growth hasn't really been powered by those super high-value, deep tech industries that are literally shaping our future. But, a gap that big also means there's a huge opportunity. And in this case, we're talking about a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. Let's take a look at what India really stands to gain. Or, well, lose. So let's get real for a second. Let's put a hard number on it. What's actually at stake here if India just sticks to the status quo and doesn't make this high-tech pivot? The number is $5.1 trillion. Just let that sink in for a moment. That's the potential gap in India's annual manufacturing GDP by the year 2047 if it doesn't upgrade. It's a number so big, it's hard to even imagine, and it represents two completely different futures for the country. And this chart shows you exactly how we get to that number. See, on the left, that's the business as usual path. On that track, India's manufacturing GDP hits about $2.3 trillion by 2047. But on the right, under this ambitious Viksit Bharat, or Developed India vision, that number could shoot up to $7.4 trillion. That massive difference between them? That's the $5.1 trillion prize. So how do you even begin to close a gap that big? Well, the game plan really boils down to these four key things. We're talking about weaving AI into everything to boost innovation, going big on automation and digital systems, rethinking not just products, but how they're made, and, this is the big one, adopting what are called frontier technologies. We'll get to those in a second. Okay, so we've got the why and the what. Now let's dig into the how, the actual foundation India's building to make all this happen. And this is so much bigger than just putting up new factories. It's about building a whole new ecosystem from the ground up. So they're tackling it from every angle. Making regulations like the GST simpler, making it way easier to get land, upgrading infrastructure to cut down on shipping costs, and investing a ton in green energy like hydrogen. And hey, this isn't just theory. It's already happening. Just look at Micron, one of the giants in the semiconductor world. They're dropping $2.75 billion on a new chip plant in Gujarat. That is a huge vote of confidence. It's proof that this new ecosystem is starting to attract the really big global players. And if you want to know if this is real, just follow the money. This chart shows where big industrial investment is going. More than a quarter of it, 27%, is now pouring into these new emerging tech sectors. That's a huge signal that the pivot toward innovation is well underway. Okay, so the foundation is being poured. Now for the exciting part. What kinds of cutting-edge industries are we actually talking about building on top of it? First up, there's this massive, untapped market in electric drivetrain and battery systems. We're talking about the guts of the EV revolution, the motors, the controllers, the advanced batteries. It's a market that could be worth $18.5 billion by 2030, and India wants a big piece of that pie. Next up is the big one, semiconductors, specifically chip engineering and design. Look, if batteries are the muscle of modern tech, chips are the brains. This is all about moving up the food chain from just assembling chips to actually designing them. That's where the real value is. And it's another potential $17 billion market. And this third one is really smart. It's all about what's called resource circularity. Basically, recycling critical stuff like EV batteries and precious metals. Now, this isn't just about being green. It's a really strategic play to rely less on imports and build a secure supply chain for essential materials. And yep, it's another $16 billion opportunity. So what's the secret sauce that's going to power all of this? Well, it all comes down to unlocking those frontier technologies we mentioned a little while ago. Okay, so these terms can sound a little abstract, right? AI, digital twin,
But this table shows you exactly what they mean in the real world. For example, AI isn't just a buzzword. It's being used to predict safety issues on railways. Digital twin tech lets engineers build and test a virtual copy of an EV powertrain before ever making a physical one. And new materials are making it possible to build chips that are way faster and more powerful.
Okay, so we've looked at the plan, the huge opportunities, and the cool tech behind it all. Now let's bring it all together and see who's already walking down this path to 2047.
And let's be clear, this isn't some far-off dream. The pioneers are already out there making it happen right now. You've got Hindustan Aeronautics pushing the limits in aerospace. Tata Elsex is using generative AI to build incredible robots. Kane's technology has already delivered India's very first commercial semiconductor module. From power systems to car displays, these companies are turning the vision into reality today.
So what's the big takeaway here? India is without a doubt building the factory of the future. The ambition's there, the money's moving, and the work has started. So the real question isn't if this transformation will happen. The question is, how fast can they scale it all up to really compete on the global stage? That's the multi-trillion-dollar race we all get to watch.